Team Spirit have continued to defy expectations since a difficult first day of the group stage, powering past more experienced teams with their natural lethal synergy and lightning-fast mechanical skill. They thrive in dangerous situations and play without fear. But can they keep their fairy tale run going all the way to the grand finals? It is the moment of truth for the boys from Eastern Europe. And here's Team Secret came into this tournament as one of the favorites to lift the Aegis, and you'd better believe they're ready to meet those expectations. They are led by 10-time TI attendee and former champion Puppy, and they're one of the most dynamic, flexible teams in the world. They are ready for anything, and they're especially ready to win. Can they resist the weight of expectation dragging them down today, or will they take their rightful place amongst the legends that have come before them? Well, on the Spirit side of things, Captain Miposhka there is ready to take his team into the draft. But before we talk about Team Spirit, let's hear from them.
Наверное, те, кто говорят, что, точнее, фраза, типа, что люди начинают играть в International, это просто можно ее переформулировать, как люди начинают играть эмоциями. Типа, они не особо стараются уже как-то разумно думать, там, рассчитывать и логически что-то продумывать. Они больше на эмоции начинают, играть на эмоциях, типа, как-то плюс-минус на автомате, потому что, какое-то волнение и давление, оно все равно всегда присутствует, и люди, у которых не получается с этим хорошо справиться, они на это сильно отвлекаются, и их как бы часть разума затмится, скажем так, и их не получается много времени уделять игре, и как-то в целом просто мысли не складываются, и, соответственно, вот. Короче, как мне кажется, International — это просто тот турнир, где максимально сложно становится сдерживать свои эмоции, вот. И чем больше ты в этом плане развит, чем лучше в плане контроля своих чувств, эмоций и все такое, тем лучше ты будешь играть. Вот. Если ты сможешь во время игры не просто там типа да-да-да, go, давай этого, а говорить типа про себя, что типа что я должен сделать, кого там прыгнуть, кого убить, кто меня может убить, как мне действовать в драке и прочее. Если вот такие вещи получается проговаривать, а это вот на таких турнирах вообще порой непросто, то я думаю, вот такие вот люди, они и будут добиваться больших результатов на таких турнирах.
It's interesting hearing Miposhka talk about emotions there, because yesterday, talking to Mira in the post-game interview, I asked about how they reacted to the Yutoro rampage, his second of the entire tournament. And Mira said that basically they were all celebrating, and Miposhka said, guys, we still haven't won yet. And I think that's one of the things about Miposhka that people don't realize. It's obviously not just about what he's bringing to the field. It's also the fact that he's got a wiser, mature head on his shoulders. You could say he's 24. I mean, their youngest player, Yutoro, is just 18 years old. And he's leading them so well, way beyond expectations. However, I do want to talk about him, particularly his bane. You know what? We've got Yutoro on screen. He's shaved his head off. We'll talk about Miposhka in a bit. We've got Yutoro here. He has played 19 different heroes here at TI. 12 unique heroes in the 12 main event games. This is insane, particularly the Drow Ranger purge.
Yeah, it looked a little bit weak in early stages of the game, as Drow Ranger typically does, but in later stages she can be really effective due to cutting through base armor, kind of similar to that ET effect, and Yutoro's clearly been the most impressive. Like 2 rampages at main stage when there's only been 4 in history ever. He's got like a 1 out of 6 chance of getting a rampage. And when you get a rampage, kill the whole team, that's a lot of gold advantage. Normally you don't see teams win fights that soundly. So he's been playing great.
And I am wondering, is this man outdraftable? Well, we're soon going to find out because we're heading to the draft panel momentarily as we get this underway.
Team Spirit versus Team Secret. Game 1.
Welcome to the first draft of the day. It's Team Spirit versus Team Secret. We have an angel lineup here of Jenkins, BSJ, and Avo to analyze this draft. How are you, my gentlemen?
Great. Fantastic.
Great. Now we have a draft, but before we get into it, I want to ask for expectations from this game. BSJ.
High tempo on both sides. That's what I'm looking for. Low cooldown, all run at you brawl. I think the only longest cooldown we'll see here is Tidehunter, potentially. That was Jenkins' courageous pick going into
I
this.
believe Tidehunter will receive a pick or a ban, and if Team Secret don't ban it, it will be Spirit's first choice.
Okay.
What about
Because
Mars?
of Collapse?
No. Yep, because of Collapse. It's their favorite guy. I know people like to see Collapse on something that's cooler, something
Mars?
that's more high skill, let's say. But it's been a classic for them throughout this tournament. They've kind of rested their hopes and dreams on the shoulders of this Tidehunter, and it's worked out for them. But so has the Mars, the Collapse Mars with the armlet, with the hitting the spears, no Blink Dagger. That looked really great as well.
With viewers that have missed other days, haven't seen the grace of Tidehunter, BSJ, can you tell us why he's such a great hero?
Teamfight always comes into play at TI, and Tidehunter's just the easiest hero to execute. The Kraken Shell makes it almost impossible to burst you down. We're seeing specific lineups and specific combos that are crafted just to remove that. And yesterday we saw like a Silver Edge, Tiny, we've seen that deal with it. We've seen Disruptors, Dooms, PA got picked exclusively for the Fan of Knives Ag Shard purchase that Team Spirit did. That was a way they bursted down the tide. Just a crucial hero in this meta that simplifies your game plan.
And there's another hero that we've been seeing a lot, Magnus.
Yeah, this is a great one. We've talked about it a lot. We've talked about it with Seb and all the pro players that have been here. And the biggest theory around Magnus is that during TI, team fighting is incredibly important. BKBs are incredibly important. Magnus is great at dealing with both of those things because of reverse polarity. But probably the biggest thing is the fact that if you have this kind of structured, you're standing on a high ground, you're just like playing with this formation, Magnus just breaks it. He just goes in there, tosses you up with his horn, and then skewers you 20,000 feet away. And it's like, good luck holding a formation when you're in the enemy fountain.
That's true. We heard the counter to
Thank
it
you,
is
Brian.
Yule Scepters as well as Force Staffs. That's the way, if you Force Staff or any forced movement on Mag when he skewers, it will cancel the skewer effectively, and whoever's getting skewered will stop moving. So we have to keep an eye out for that as a way for Team Spirit to prevent what we saw happen to OG, where Sumail started sieging the tier 3s, and suddenly he's in the fountain.
Ended up in the fountain. Yeah, that was rough. The cooldown is really like the big thing for me, where Mag is in and out and in and out. It's like, so you start off this chaotic fight by breaking the formation, and then because your formation is broken, it's like it gives the Magnus a second opportunity to skewer you into an even worse position because this chaotic fight has started, and Magnus just loves chaos.
Here, Team Spirit goes for an emblematic combo, Io plus Mars. Purge made a whole segment about this combo, how strong it is, how they win lanes with this. And it's not going to be Jenkins type, but it's going to actually be the Mars instead.
Yeah, the nice thing about the IO is most of the offlaners that have been building Armlet have some sort of innate sustain, such as the Legion Commander. And it didn't really seem like a viable build on Mars. The reason why Armlet's being picked up so much is it's been buffed several times. It's 75 damage for any strength hero when it's activated. And the IO allows the Mars to actually use it. And they've been putting a lot of pressure on the tower. With that, taking it really early, something Mars doesn't always do. And you also have a built-in crit with your bulwark, or God's Rebuke, excuse me.
And the like infinite sustain too with Mars. I remember like one of the best ways to win a lane on Mars, and the reason that like at least when he was first added to the game, people were like, this hero doesn't lose lanes, even to get something that's a lane dominator like Elder Titan, like Slark, like Ursa, these sorts of heroes that just punch you and lane dominate you. You have 2 nukes. You just spam your nukes with regen, and so people were building a bottle back then against these counters, and the IO just makes it so that you don't need any regen. So you've got that combo in the laning stage. It also means the Mars has the mobility so you can build into the armlet. You have the sustain so you can build into the armlet. And what do you want with an IO? You want a hero that can set up a team fight somewhere for you on the other side of the map. So if they pick a carry with this, Mars can set up with his ult into Spear, and then IO can relocate the carry in, and all of a sudden you've got this huge disruptive team fight, which IO loves.
Yeah, you were mentioning the Tide coming into this series, and the thing about Mars is the way Collapse adapted it is he kind of turns into a Tide. Like he doesn't rely on the blink, surprise, Yule, spears. He's more of a guy. I'm walk in, I dare you to go on me. If you don't go on me, we take control of this area, whether it's Roche or the triangle.
Yeah,
and if you do go on me,
item.
he just arenas because he's so tanky, and suddenly you're trapped in there with him. So it's like a pseudo stun, more of a crowd control that lasts much longer than most ultimates.
He was being so patient with the Mars ults yesterday, and I was really impressed by that just because I feel like traditionally, and I know it's a relatively new hero, but for the hero's entire existence, it's the initiation. You start with the Mars ult. It's not this thing that you hold off on like the Tidehunter ulti. But that's also how Tide started. Tide was an initiator. You call Tide an initiator these days, you sound like an idiot. It's a counter initiator. You wait for a fight to start, then you hit a big Ravage. And so Collapse is kind of doing that with the Mars ulti as well.
Yeah, we've seen actually this transition in a couple other heroes. Legion Commander was in the same pool of buy Blink first. People realized Blink first pretty bad. You need stats. Now we're seeing Armlet Legion. Before we're seeing Pipe as well. So it's maybe that's just the best offlaner to play, really. A third core, not just someone that can go in and stun someone.
Yeah, I think at the very least, having that in your toolbox for what you can do on the hero and knowing when you can do it like that. So like you can obviously still play Mars as an initiator, Tidehunter as well. We've seen blinks into Ravages on literally just a solo carry. So you're effectively, it's like at that point it's a lion stun. Which sounds terrible for like a 200-second cooldown ability or whatever.
But you need to.
But sometimes that's what you have to do. And so having these different options available to you is what makes a hero stronger as the game progresses and people get better.
Let's talk about a different hero here, the ET, also a very popular pick. Thoughts on this with the ET Magnus? We have seen ET kind of carry games with his Empower plus the Cleave talent.
Yeah, I think the difference between ET and what we saw yesterday when Team Spirit ran Mars IO against IG was the IG had an Abaddon 5, which is a support that to do his job has to be right next to everybody because all of his abilities are really low cast range. So I think the ET is not only good for all the reasons ET is already really good, but the fact that Mars Arena probably isn't going to trap him. He's not going to get caught if he eventually gets an Ags, gets played as a 4 position maybe.
You just ult into it
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, you cast all your spells from outside of it, so it shouldn't affect him at all, which makes the pick even better.
I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but this is something that maybe this is because I'm like a bad ET player, but I noticed that people are using the ET ult at like max range now, so that way the moment that splitter hits you, it pops, and so it's catching people. Like they're using it with setups.
Yes.
Whereas before, I remember it used to be like ETs would kind of walk into melee range and then ult, and then it was this like slow thing that you had to have setup for. Speaking of setup, that's a hero.
That's crazy. We have not seen this hero much. We have not seen much success on this hero at all. Only small buffs, like the dual breath, for example, cast point got buffed. Now it's harder for Rubik to counter it.
The Liquid Fire also got buffed, though.
Yeah, Liquid Fire got
pretty
small buffs.
significantly.
This was an unplayed hero until now. This is literally just an unplayed hero.
During the main event,
in the main
because it
event.
was definitely picked in the group
Oh,
stage.
sorry, for the last week. So yeah, during the main event.
Okay.
And so
And then there's the Rubik
there's
counter.
the Rubik counter, instant
There it
counter.
is.
That's funny. Okay, yeah, it's such a good hero and another really like low played hero is the Rubik, at least in the main event. And so it's a great hero to steal a bunch of spells from. You've got a stun, you know, if you steal the Macro Pyre, you got like the extra range on it, the extra damage on it.
You want to
from
steal
the
Ice
Rubik.
Path, though. That's
Ice Path is like, yeah, that is the creme
Primo.
de la creme of spells. But Jakiro, I really do think the buff to the Q and it being such a low cast point is a huge upgrade. I remember talking to like Owie after the hero got changed, and he was like, yeah, I think like Jakiro's an offlaner now. Like Jakiro's good enough that you can play it in the offlane.
Mage Slayer.
Just because of that buff. Yeah, Mage Slayer. Honestly, even Dragonlance or something that. And his what is the tower damage? Liquid Fire. Liquid Fire is a lot of damage at level 1 too. Like it does a ton now. So you can actually siege with this hero as well from a 5 position.
Yeah, the Storm is necessary for Team Spirit's lineup as the Jakiro, usually they'll pick something like Disruptor or Bane from Aposhka here, but instead, since they don't have as much setup for the relocate, the Mars is most likely going to be with the IO for the early portion of the game. You do need a mid laner that's going to be that setup. Storm Spirit's been the best one so far this tournament, I think, especially for Toronto, Tokyo. The Terrorblade, really nice lane matchup against the Mars. You can eventually tank the spear with your illusions. The spear will do damage to multiple targets, but it'll only impale,
impale,
one target. So you can tank those in the early laning stage, and then also Terrorblade's like a pseudo-ranged hero in the laning phase, so ET front lines for you. You'll be able to hit a lot more on the Metamorphosis. But they're super greedy on Team Spirit. On Team Secret. You have Magnus Terrorblade. That's pretty weak mid game.
Big damage though, huge late game damage, like borderline unbeatable just because of the empower buff on top of the TB base damage. I actually don't mind the idea on Spirit of sending the Jakiro against the ET TB lane. I feel like that would do extremely well. It's weird because it breaks up the Io Mars combination, but an ET is never going to run at you if he has a Jakiro slow on him. And the Terrorblade, this is a hero that has really high armor and also wants to right-click you, so you've got the attack slow with the Jakiro spell, as well as tons of magic damage, right? So maybe they'll do that, but we've thought that before with some IO combination, and then teams just don't like to break up the IO from whatever the pairing is, whether it's Slaughter or Mars.
Spirit especially. I want to point out though that this is a TB that's picked into a Storm and a Jakiro, so a fair amount of magical damage in that mid game. Not too difficult to burst him down, and this could play into BSJ's point about it being quite greedy. There's going to be a power spike for Team Spirit that's kind of hard to deal with for Secret right now.
Yeah, I'm wondering about their carry matchup because Terrorblade ET covers a lot of heroes. Usually you want like a melee strength hero that buys armor against ET because he only removes base armor, but then those heroes like Sven are pretty bad versus the Terrorblade in a 1v1.
Really? Because
Yeah.
some teams had the theory months ago that was the Sven was actually the
That was the patch that Sven was like completely busted as well.
Ursa's banned, Monkey King's banned,
I'm leaning towards,
Tiny's
like,
banned.
Troll looks like the best hero for me from Team Spirit that's left.
Troll Jakiro sounds insanely strong against like literally anything you can put in
That's
the
true.
offlane. Like you would basically need a Purge hero, but it's Team Secret's pick, so that's not you're not going to get that unless you're preempting the Troll.
They might go for the Quap. Oh no, they banned the Quap. How about Lena? Something to lane dominate the Storm. Death
Yeah,
Prophet.
that makes sense.
Oh, okay, of course.
So they go for like the game counter then. Like does fine in the lane because you just nuke it out, and then the game counter is that you have the Yule Scepter to catch the Storm.
And there's going to be a Spectre then. It does fulfill a couple of the things you're talking about. Not the most agi carry per se. The armor is not what makes Spectre strong. She still has her passives. And even though her core to core against TB is bad, she can avoid him in fights.
They
That's the
also
goal.
have a lot of jump and magic burst on the side of Team Spirit, and if it's not quite enough to bring down a Terrorblade, suddenly he's going to get that Sunder, turn the entire fight. The Spectre offers that little bit of extra damage with the Ags that now cast the dagger, so it's an extra 300 damage coming in from the Spectre. They rely completely on map control in Team Spirit, and it's going to come down to Collapse because Storm, Spectre, super greedy in the laning stage, and we saw yesterday that Collapse was able to get them through that early to mid game, so that's the hero I'm looking out for here.
Yeah, I agree. I think Spirit wants to make sure that they're shutting down the Terrorblade because they have good ways of mitigating the Terrorblade and not taking damage from him, like the Mars Bulwark, for example. But they don't have great ways of killing him once he gets like the Satanic Scotty sort of thing. So like once he has those items, I could see Team Secret completely popping off. But Team Spirit wants to pop off in the laning stage and with the rotations around the map, as opposed to just like in team fights.
So there's going to be a small window opportunity for Spirit to be able to pop off and destroy Secret before they can get
Definitely, and Secret just wants to farm their own
It's
side of
like
the map.
25 to 40 minutes is all Spirit, and I think as you go on from there, Team Secret will take it.
I don't even need to send it to you for the last word. Now I got it already for free.
There you go, easy.
That's incredible. All right, so what can Secret do to prevent this early pop-off? What's their best bet?
I really do think it's holding their tier 1 towers. You got Mag, you got Terrorblade. You just need space on the map to farm. But we saw the Collapse Armlet Mars. We have the Jakiro coming into play. I think if you can pick on Toronto, Tokyo, and perhaps Yatoro, it'll make them have to commit resources on the side of Team Spirit in order to protect them rather than be on the aggressive. And I think that's the best way they could do it.
A lot's riding on Nisha because he's like the only active hero in the early game. Even the supports are not so active. They're good +1s. Like they're good at running at places with Nisha, but Nisha is like the absolute baseline for everything Team Secret wants to do.
And now we're going to send it not to the last word, but it is going to be to Silent regardless, as Sir Action Slash is standing there with Team Spirit's coach to tell us about their draft.
Thank you so much. Sir, Rubik picked up on the other team. What a YapzOr's favorite, a traditional counter to Jakiro. Do you feel like you've done a good enough job preventing him from winning?
I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm still satisfied with our draft, and I think we can play this game.
Were you surprised that they let Collapse the Giga Chad get his favorite Mars?
Oh, I think it's a passive from Popeye, he always can give you hero, your best hero, and trying to counter him. Sometimes his passive procs, and he wins, maybe not.
Well, maybe. We'll see, my friend. Best of luck in game one, and we'll jump right into it with Cinderin and Sunsfan.
Thank you very much. Slack Secret versus Team Spirit, game one of this lower bracket finals of TI-10. Cinderin, welcome. Surprised to see you here.
Yeah, just as surprised to see you here, if not more. But here we are.
Thank you.
Yeah, this will be a great series, of course. So much on the line here for both teams, and I think, you know, we like to talk a little bit about the mental game in situations like this. I think for Team Spirit, you've kind of exceeded expectations. Teams like those are really dangerous in this position because Team Spirit kind of, in a way, have nothing to lose, right? I think going into the tournament, if you ask them, hey, would you guys want to take third place and not play, they would have said yes in a heartbeat, right? Because it's like the field is so competitive, and getting that position for their team was already incredible. So now everything is just icing on top, and they're just going further and further in this. It's reminding you of certain runs from previous events at TI, right? Like TI6 with DC, with TI8 OG going the whole way. You know, teams that people didn't necessarily think were even going to make top 8, right?
Yeah.
And suddenly you find yourself in this position.
To give Team Spirit some credit, like DC, we were picked to be like 12th range. OG, by some people, were picked to be last. Spirit, people thought they would be in the middle, probably like 8. I think I picked them 6th coming in because I really like the way that they play. But yeah, you're right. Either way, still the underdog mentality. I'm sure they have that chip on their shoulder. But kind of what the panel has talked about so much before, that such a young lineup overall that just makes things like really exciting for the future for the Eastern European region in general.
And then on the other side, you have Team Secret, who have kind of, you know, TI has almost been a kryptonite in a way. And it's weird to say because this team has had so many LAN victories across the previous years and have just looked dominant year after year in so many tournaments, and TI has just not been it.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm trying to remember, I think at TI6 they got 13 to 16, and then they've like taken one step up the ladder every year, and now it looks like finally it could be within reach, and that can be both, you know, can both put some pressure on you that you feel so close, and at the same time probably also a bit of relief that finally this year for Puppy things are just clicking with the squad.
Yeah.
And they're looking like a very hot contender for even the whole thing. We've got to get through Team Spirit first, and Spirit, like they talked about, have some of their trademark heroes here. We've got Collapse on the Mars. I believe I saw a stat the other day from the Haas on Twitter that Collapse was 6-2 with Mars, and every other player at TI combined was 7-25 outside of him.
It doesn't surprise me. We've
that's
talked about
pretty
how
incredible.
This hero has just fallen off so much since the Animajor, except for Team Spirit. I don't know what he does. I mean, buys the armlet.
Well, right now he dies.
From Matu in that disgusting form of his, and the right clicks from Puppy. It looks like it's going to be a nut. So first blood goes the way of Team Secret.
Well, taking full advantage of hitting level 2 first here with the ET and Terrorblade combination, getting the reflection as well as Metamorphosis running. And they will take that. It's a nice start for Puppy. In the mid lane, Nisha is going up against Toronto Tokyo, Void Spirit against Storm. I think this is a pretty even lane.
Nisha is doing for Nisha, though.
Nisha's been looking incredible in lane. He was also doing great against Nothing to Say in the series yesterday in the upper bracket, the upper bracket finals. I think in many ways, maybe together with Somnus, I think perhaps the standout just 1v1 mid laner of the tournament. Somnus obviously running some incredible stats, but unfortunately their team did not place very well.
Yeah.
And then finally top lane Zai and Yapsor. This is a classic lane for Secret to play, the Rubik +1, where both heroes have some sort of wave clear. A lot of the time what they're going to do is just push in the wave with Shockwave as well as Fate Bolt, so that they can try to pull hard camp and prevent the enemy team from pulling small. Obviously both camps have been blocked this far. But Miposhka this time is going to leave the big... Wait. It's still inside the camp. Okay, it looked like it wasn't, but it's not going to spawn either.
Oh. How about the lineups as a whole? Because Team Secret, they have a lot of team fight. Obviously the RP, the Earth Splitter, they have a good Roche. Well, not to kill it as fast as some other lineups that we've seen, but good counter Roche potential at the very least with a lot of these heroes.
Yeah, neither team is very good at killing it.
Yeah,
their lineup is more teamfight centric, whereas I would say Spirit's lineup can do it to an extent with Arena and Jakiro, as well as Haunt, but their lineup really thrives on more skirmish style play, on splitting the map and then finding picks, because they do have Relocate, Haunt, as well as Storm. It doesn't get much more global than this. Bottom lane.
Yep, telekinesis into the skewer, back into the fray for the tier 1 tower. Miposhka taking heavy damage. Shockwave keeps him at bay again. Yapsor and Zai not able to get a kill there, but you can see that Matu actually finishes off Collapse again. It's going to be a trade, though. They actually kill each other, technically speaking.
All right, Collapse got the kill first, so I think he's going to be pretty happy with this.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
Getting some more experience, but Matsu is a full level ahead of him as it stands right now, and Puppy as well as Mira have the same experience, so basically a full level advantage for Team Secret in that bottom lane. One of the worst starts I think we've seen in a while for Collapse on that Mars.
Yeah.
So got to be slightly concerning for him. Keep in mind this matchup in the lane, by the way, the Mars against Terrorblade, is pretty interesting because Mars, you know, you have one magic damage component in the spear, but everything else you have is physical, and Terrorblade has so much armor. So can definitely stand his ground a lot of the time and fight, and Puppy is just, you know, being a bully as well.
In terms of like the mid to late game scope here, Cinderin, how do you like Spectre in a game like this? Obviously, the hero comes online a lot faster than, you know, for people that haven't watched a ton of Dota in the last couple months. Historically speaking, more so a late game hero, but now you kind of get ramped up a little bit sooner thanks to the Ags that I would assume he goes for.
I think it has okay conditions here. I wouldn't say it's an outstanding Spectre game. I think the primary purpose for a large part of the game will be to haunt, to give Storm vision to jump and kill Rubik or ET. I think that's how Spirit opened up the fights. In terms of just a flat-out team fight structure, Spectre doesn't fare very well against Terrorblade, but that's not what Team Spirit are going for anyway. Bottom lane.
Yeah, Miposhka, Astro Step's going to connect from Nisha. That's going to be an easy kill for Secret here. Bot lane, Mira is still connected with Collapse, who, like you said, off to a little bit slower start. But I mean, if this was any other Mars, like, oh, they're actually doing pretty good. Not too bad. Considering this hero is just so unpicked. Or I guess just the win rate more specifically. Not doing too hot. Matu, 28 and 12 in terms of his actual CS, and then 30 and 8 for Yatoro. What are the chances, Cinderin, of another rampage for Yatoro in this series?
They're not good, I'll say. I think
based on his percentage, pretty good, right?
Team Spirit's chances of winning the game are good, but yeah, Spectre finding a rampage in a game like this would be pretty unexpected. There's just it's
That's
more
not
like
a word, by the way. Puppy getting harassed here. Good effort, though, Cinderin. I just had to correct you.
What's that?
Unexpectable is not a word.
It is now.
Okay. Teaching English to the masses, Cinderin.
There's nothing better than
teacher.
inventing words.
I mean, I agree with that.
Yatoro is going to get run a bit at here by Zai and Yapsor, but obviously has already got that level 6, so yeah, he's doing great in the safe lane. He has very good conditions here. I think Secret aren't too phased by it though, because they've also, you know, got what they wanted. Magnus is getting a good start, almost has the Helm of the Dominator here, does Zai. And of course their safe lane counterpart doing well too. And let's not forget Empower for a hero like Terrorblade. Yes, he goes into ranged form when he pops Metamorphosis, but he also has really high base damage. And that means that Empower percentage-based improvement is pretty significant for Terrorblade's ability to win fights.
I mean, it's still obviously really good when he's in melee form too, right? You don't have to pop meta or anything like that. You actually farm at a higher clip than you're used to as a Terrorblade. As Nisha has the haste rune bottled up right now. Toronto Tokyo just trying to push out the wave. And, well, we can see Electric Vortex. Toronto Tokyo pressuring a bit, but doesn't have any backup, so likely not to go for a kill here. We'll be getting a D ward, though. And top net worth Nisha, like you said, off to a really good start for him. 600 difference between the mids in terms of just the gold discrepancy here.
Yeah, that kill he found earlier onto the Jakiro definitely adds up. Their CS is roughly the same, but Nisha does have 10 more denies than Toronto Tokyo, so a bit of a level advantage. Aiming for the bottom rune here. Yapsar's come over as well, but Toronto Tokyo still got the rune, actually. Nisha a little bit off the mark with the timing on his Aether Remnant. He's going to be very happy with that on the Storm. Unfortunately for him, it was an illusion rune, so not exactly what you want. You would have loved either a regen or an arcane rune, you would imagine there, or even a haste. Early on could be pretty nice for Storm. Double damage. Basically anything else.
True, true. Nisha working on a Yule Scepter for himself. I assume that Toronto Tokyo will end up going for Orchid, but obviously the Yules is going to end up countering that to some degree.
Yeah.
All right, when you can get a Yules and it has multi-purpose, not just for the Dispel, but setting up your own Aether Remnant, just such a good pickup this game.
It's a feel-good item for Void Spirit for sure. Little detail there from Nisha, by the way. I think he's trying to fish for a ward mid. Wonder if he's going to find the one that was placed on his half as a result of that. Storm is perhaps going to make a move. Toronto Tokyo will be farming up the stacks for now. Has the potential to make a move top if he wants to.
Yeah, that is a pretty juicy stack to be
good.
taken here. And Toronto Tokyo looks like he's going to get most of it, if not all. No pressure being set here from Team Secret as of yet. Although they do have a two-man smoke on the way towards the top lane here. As Nisha ready to try to get some kills now. Starting to ramp things up. Mira not quite level 6, so can't relocate top as of yet. And we'll see what the tower defense is going to be for Team Spirit, if any. Because we've seen some teams just give this up super early. We've seen a lot of contests, more so than in previous patches.
Zai is kind of baiting Yatoro here to try to go for his creep so that they can get the opener.
Yeah.
But we'll be spotted out by the illusion here. I think both Yapzor as well as Nisha. Nisha might not have been envisioned yet. He's going to try for it.
Yeah, Yatoro doesn't have mana. He has the wand to be able to haunt successfully. If he really wants to. It's Nisha. All right, there comes Mira. Hooked up with Toronto Tokyo, but Nisha needs to get out. It looks like he'll do so successfully, at least for now. Yatoro continuing to pursue, though. Very hard to catch up to Nisha for sure here, as Toronto Tokyo has the horsey ready to go. Double damage bottled as well, so we'll see if he wants to get active.
Yeah, that was a multi-purpose mid TP. That was pretty nice.
We have a haunt coming out. Mira looks like he's going to get dropped by Nisha. Yatoro, in the meantime, taking out Puppy. So it's a 1-for-1 on just the supports. Maposhka in the trees will likely fall next, although Yatoro has something to say about that potentially. Coming in from the downside of the trees here. Still going for that Aghanim Scepter.
Yeah, Toronto Tokyo might want to do something here with the DD.
Fine. Yeah, skewer out to safety for Toronto Tokyo with that double damage. RP onto 2! Beautifully timed from Zai into the Fable. That is going to be a super easy kill in Toronto Tokyo. And now Yatoro not reciprocating the high five at all. Trying to TP out. Oh my god, how much HP did he have? Barely gets out. But still, Secret obviously would have loved to get that kill. Either way, we'll get the Storm Spirit and probably the Tier 1 tower to boot.
Great play from Zai, though. I don't think Toronto Tokyo was expecting that RP to come in instantaneously like that, but that just sets things up. You had Yapzor sitting out in the tree line on the left for the extra damage from Fate Bolt, and this is something that Secret have played 100,000 times. The Rubik 4. You can always count on Yapzor to be involved at the right place at the right time. And this is going to put Secret in a very good position right now. 2k gold lead. And effectively not allowing Team Spirit to do what their lineup likes to do at this point in time in the game, right? Like, you ideally want to find some sort of opening with the Storm and then haunt onto it and find these picks, but Secret were kind of dictating the pace. So Storm TP'd mid to defend the tower and take the DD rune. Okay,
Zai. He's going to skewer to safety for now. Is Nisha coming from the backside? Looks like they're just going to focus on Maposhka to start things out. Going to be a relatively easy one for Secret to clean up. Mira attempting to TP out, will not be able to do so. Toronto Tokyo on the run with very little mana to speak of. So 2-for-0 here for Secret. But Toronto Tokyo at the very least gets a regen for his troubles. And Collapse, as we can see, has his armlet in toast, and just buys armlet on every single hero, it feels like. And
on every single Mars.
Every single no, he buys it. Oh, that was you that bought on Storm Spirit. My bad, buddy.
Hey, that was ARDM.
Yeah, true.
I started building a Midas, and I was like, wait, this game is way too short for Midas. What can I use my Gloves of Haste for?
Yeah.
That
Good
was
choice.
a mistake. I should have just bought Dagon like everyone else. Tryhards in a show match. Well, whatever.
Yeah, Dagon tryhard, no doubt.
It's very good in ARDM in a show match,
I'm
believe
told.
it or not.
All right, Yatoro
At least
has
I didn't
the
buy
Falcon
BKB
Blade.
like solo. Okay, let's move on.
That's true. That was pretty bad manners for sure. As Collapse in the mid lane now. And working toward... I mean, he went for Blink Dagger pretty late, I want to say in the last series, but prioritizing a little bit earlier than what we're used to seeing on him. But still quite a ways away from finishing it, so... But once they get that, they'll have their initiation in addition to the Haunt and Zip-In from Storm.
1500 gold is quite a long time in a game like this, though.
Yeah.
Secret doing such a good job at just pushing out the waves and controlling the flow of the game. Both Matu and Nisha are top net worth. Obviously, the Terrorblade has been largely uncontested, primarily because of, first of all the action in the top half of the map, but also he pushed that mid tower earlier with himself and in Metamorphosis form, forced Storm to TP there to defend that tower and take the DD rune, and then he backed off and farmed, and eventually that led to Secret winning the fight top because Storm couldn't connect, and that in turn builds up more space for himself later to just be greedy in the jungle. So, like, just kind of a domino effect that he started himself with a push in mid can make a huge difference. Nice cure from Zai. They're just barely getting out.
Oh, the zip is stolen from Yapzor. Very annoying to deal with as a Storm Spirit. Nisha, he's going to get initiated by Toronto Tokyo, though. Here comes Zai to try to help out. RP is being faked out here. Toronto Tokyo basically uses most of his mana to try to zip away there. Ends up being somewhat of a stalemate here, but Team Secret still with a pretty decent lead at the 14.5-minute mark.
Yeah, it genuinely just feels like Spirit really wants to kill someone, and they just can't. The heroes that are being offered up to them, they don't have the most damage in their lineup if they don't all connect together.
Yeah.
And Secret are very tight-knit when it comes to these team moves that they're making. There's always the protection of the Rubik, of the ET, of the Mag. And it's only going to get easier for them when Zai approaches his Blink Dagger very soon, so looking very good for them. Interestingly, for Spirit, top net worth actually currently the Mars, but
Collapse
that might change
be in some trouble here. Telekinesis in the midst of all this chaos. He's trying to run away, but Matu is able to get credit for that kill and the tier 1 tower as well. So Team Secret off to quite the good start here. And like you said, Zai not too far away from Blink Dagger. Collapse still like 1,200 away from finishing his. And I feel like the Blink Dagger on Collapse plus the Ags on Yataro are the two big, like, that's the power spike that you're probably going to try to get a little bit more aggressive from Team Spirit's perspective.
For sure. My concern for them right now is we've seen a similar strategy to this being run by IG earlier in the tournament. I don't remember who was on the receiving end of a game where they absolutely stomped, but I don't know how well this Dire strategy is going to fare from this far behind. Like if you're basing your strategy off finding these picks and playing quick, and you have 2 kills after 16 minutes, what could eventually end up happening is that Secret just find their item timings, group up, take Rosh, and then push high ground, and you don't get to play that separation fight whatsoever. Storm Spirit looking for the bottom rune. Will not get it. It was a regen top for Nisha, so losing the flip there.
Let me ask you this question. Who do you think there's more pressure on, team-wise?
Secret.
Secret have all these high expectations. They have a lot of veteran players. Team Spirit's like kind of YOLOing it to some degree. That's kind of how the DC mentality was at TI6, so I can definitely relate to some degree.
I think that's a good thing for Spirit, like that they can just, you know, they can play free. Like we talked about earlier, they've exceeded expectations already, so now, you know, everything is just a bonus and they're just enjoying the ride and doing, like, playing amazingly good Dota for the last couple of days of the main event here. And they're... I feel like the thing about this game for them is they have not had this bad of a start in a single game at the main stage, I think. So you gotta try to find some sort of recovery path. When your team has been used to just having the momentum in all of these games, you're like doing great, you're feeling yourselves, you're making moves, they're just working, and now you're hitting like a brick wall basically 17 minutes in, and here's the play from Secret we were talking about, right? Just group up and take Rosh. Like what are Team Spirit really going to do about this? Nothing, it seems. They probably know it's happening, but aren't interested.
I mean, this is a pretty slow Rosh based on what some of the Roshes we've seen at this tournament. But regardless, Secret will get it successfully, so that is an Aegis for Matu, who's closing in on, I believe, his Scotty here pretty soon. Yeah. Just a point booster away, essentially.
I think they might go high ground with that, no joke. If he gets Scotty and they just go push top, perhaps they can look to end the game. They don't have to, obviously. It's not a requirement for their lineup, but they do hit a very, very strong timing soon. Zai with the dagger complete. Maybe you wait for the Ags on Void Spirit, but that might not overlap with your Aegis timer anymore then, because he's like 2,000 away. We'll see what the choice is for Secret, but for now, still just very calm. Push Nisha. Haste goes to Toronto Tokyo. He does have the Kaiosange, so...
Okay. And they do have the Blink on Collapse, and they have the Ags on Yatara. So
they want to do something here for sure, and there's the smoke. Maybe they'll try to find Matsu. He will have the Aegis, though. And a Zai Magnus covering on the respawn.
Yep, wrapping around the Rosh pit. Looks like Zai might be the first one they run into. We're not going to do more Christmas songs here. Zai able to blink out to safety, along with the rest of his team. They're zipping from Toronto Tokyo. He's basically out of mana. Now Zai gets the skewer off, but it's on an illusion. In the meantime, a post-game that gets picked off. There's the big arena coming through with the Earth Splitter to follow. Matu trying to go on top of Collapse. Will finally bring him down. The buyback down to the Jakiro. He's going to TP into the outpost. Matu still has that Aegis online. Looks like they're finally going to expend it here pretty soon. Toronto Tokyo might be happy with that engagement as Nisha. Looks like he's going to walk away safely. Matu Still has that, or use that Aegis. I mean, not Nisha in the meantime. Looks like they'll pick off Yatoro. That is a really big kill, just away from his entire team here. I thought they were going to try to go for the Aegis and then just back off, but couldn't cleanly do so.
Yeah, they couldn't get Spectre out of that trouble in the mid lane. And yeah, effectively what Yatoro ended up doing there was keep the Rubik and Elder Titan at bay for most of the fight, right? But, oh, Toronto Tokyo. Straight in on Nisha. There's a good spear.
Nice spear from Collapse. Can they actually bring out Nisha? He gets off the Dissimulate. Nisha, another Aether Remnant, buying him some time, but Toronto Tokyo is going to get Yules immediately and basically out of mana to speak of. And Nisha, Astro Step not for another 4 seconds, actually trying to get aggressive here. Can they go back in? Zai gets in with the huge skewer onto 2, and they bring them down instantly. Team Secret clicking on all cylinders here.
I think it's called firing.
Clicking
on all their mouse buttons, all 2 of them.
Clicking every button on their keyboard as Matu trying to go for this tier 2 tower here top, Cinderin.
It's going to get glyphed off, though. I don't think they're going to get it this time around. And yeah, even though Team Spirit do lose a lot in this engagement overall, which is a very extended one of the kind, at the very least the Aegis is down and Secret will probably not force high ground, but the advantage is building. 7,000 gold lead now. And it just looks like it's going to keep going up unless Spirit can find, again, some sort of picks.
That combo is actually so sick.
Ice Path coming up
top. Tower is down, but the TP's coming in. Like you said, Matu's in a lot of trouble. So Yutaro jump in, but there comes Zai. He gets off the skewer into the telekinesis, but Toronto Tokyo is more than fine. Sunder on his teammate from Matu, trying to keep himself alive. Yaps are stealing the electric vortex, but Matu attempting to TP out. Will he be able to do so in time? Absolutely. Just no damage coming through. Zai uses the RP on the retreat as Puppy comes with all the right clicks. Toronto Tokyo getting extremely low in the meantime. They take out Io, and it looks like it'll be a trade for Zai's life at the very least, but Nisha's not done yet. He destroys Toronto Tokyo. He has so much mobility to work with. Nope, Dissimulate not online in time. There comes the spear from Collapse. So Spirit at least gets something out of this, but they still lose Toronto Tokyo.
Yeah, I think Nisha wasn't really expecting that spear to come in there, but Collapse obviously extremely confident on his Mars and caught him before the Dissimulate cast, so they get a nice extra kill there. Actually a really big streak to end Yatoro getting the 700 bonus gold from killing off the, what was that, monster kill streak on Nisha. So a little bit of the first good fight really here for Team Spirit. They doubled their kills from 3 to 6.
I didn't even realize their kill count was that low.
Yeah, it was not looking too hot. And it still isn't, but it's the first step of the way.
Yep, Collapse jumps in, looking for Yapsar. Toronto Tokyo makes his way here as well. They should be able to pick him off. It takes a little bit more effort than you would think, though, as Matu pops that meta, going on top of Mira now. Toronto Tokyo picks up the rune, but Mira not able to be saved here. Maposhka, that is the pig pulse Cinder, and I don't think it's going to save him this time. As Nisha comes in to finish him off. He does have the Aghanim Scepter, so Resonant Pulse has 2 charges, does more damage, and more importantly than anything, silences. And the question is, what dispels do they have for Team Spirit? I know BKB is being built for Collapse right now, but still quite a ways away.
It is a big concern for Toronto Tokyo for sure, that he's this far away from solving this Ags. Secret will definitely try to take advantage of this and just look to get on top of him in the fights with Void Spirit. Most of the fights so far that Team Spirit have taken, it's really been Toronto Tokyo leading the charge, going in first, finding some sort of vortex, and they try to pile onto that. That's very dangerous now if he doesn't see the Void Spirit, because that's an instant counterplay. Even though you have the status resist of Kai Assange, the double silence into RP or some sort of Rubik Lift, Echo Stomp, whatever it is, would definitely kill him off. So has to be very careful with how he approaches this in this game.
And Matu closing in on a Satanic, not that far away. Yeah, can pick up the Reaver here pretty soon, and then just a 1,400 Claymore afterwards. I mean, you can see he is top of the net worth by quite the long shot right now. And things right now looking good for Secret, but
Collapse.
All right, we have the skewer in from Zion to Collapse. You can see the Horn Toss as well. Echo Stomp. Look at the layering from Team Secret, just masterfully done. And Collapse will get dropped as a result. Yataro. Oh, he actually uses the Haunt. His reality rifting all over the place. That's definitely not the ability name Center. That is not CK, believe it or not. Oh, we have Maposhka's ult coming in from the high ground. Yataro getting extremely low and is brought down again. Just a really weird fight from Spirit there. Looks like Maposhka at the very least will be able to live.
I think they were hoping to find Secret caught off guard there, but again, they're just tight, they're ready. They have the heroes there, and the opening from Collapse just gets instantly countered, and when they try to help him out, it's just not possible. Like, Secret are in a way too strong position there. Very easily make quick work of the Mars, and then Spectre with the Haunt. Like you said, maybe a little bit of a misstep. Miposhka.
Yeah, oh, horn toss into the RP. Toronto, Tokyo will be able to get out, and Collapse jumps in with a huge arena, taking out the Rubik to start things out. Matu getting extremely low. The Sunder on his teammate will live as a result. And Zai just burning down to Miposhka's dual breath. So Spirit having a really good defense here, as Satanic is picked up by Matu, but he's stuck in a lot of trouble here, Cinderin. And he's going to be brought down as well. Team Spirit, they're not done yet. They have Nisha in their sights, but you can see the silence coming out on Toronto, Tokyo, who's not scared to pursue apparently, but probably should be.
Yeah, Nisha can kill him in 5 seconds here if he sticks around. He is thinking about it. He has some power still. All right, Collapse was looking for him.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay.
The blind spear, typical.
Oh, sometimes it hits.
For Collapse, it feels like it always does.
Yeah, true.
Great despite
fight from
that,
Spirit.
yeah, that was a
you
very
fought
good
without
fight.
Spectre there. This was effectively a 4-on-5. Obviously, Secret's hero is not in the best position, and this RP, the Ice Path from Miposhka, just saves everything there. If not for that, that's a dead storm, and they can just start piling on the kills here with the great combination. Another good Ice Path here. Almost clipped Matumba as well. And honestly, in many ways, Secret, that could have even gone worse. Like, that was pretty close to losing Matu way earlier in the fight, and then they probably just clean up fully. At least now, Team Spirit had to expend quite a lot more resources on him.
You know, he reminds me of
I'm
the dude.
Old.
You've never seen that movie?
Which movie?
The character's named
I haven't
dude.
seen it.
Okay. Yeah, you didn't even let me finish. Great. As we have a pause here, this is the lower bracket finals, game number 1 between Secret and Team Spirit. And I would say Secret, on paper, is the favorite, but I said that yesterday with IG, and Spirit absolutely destroyed them. Momentum is a crazy thing, something that can't be really quantified, Cinderin.
For sure. Speaking of that, Secret obviously have a lot of it in this game, but that little last fight from Spirit could inspire some hope in them. According to Anki Gaben, a 3-1 favor for Secret right now. 75% win probability is what the algorithm gives them right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, the big moment we're looking forward to in this game is the next Roche, which will largely decide a lot of the potential ending of the game around the 30 to 40 minute mark. And Aegis on Terrorblade going high ground here will be really nasty for Spirit to deal with. You saw how hard it is for them to kill him once. So the second time will prove to be very challenging, but they've done a really good job after a rough start to at least stay afloat. And with the Orchid on Spectre, maybe they have an approach into this game that we should be exploring a little bit more, because he can obviously haunt, and then he can go in and Orchid either the Rubik or the ET. Yapsor's Rubik does have a Ghost Scepter, so he's not going to kill him, but the Elder Titan, he could effectively zone out of the fight pretty much the entire way. Or go on the Magnus as well, would be very strong with the Orchid. So again, for Secret, it's really important to, stay close and cover each other against this Orchid from the Spectre. Okay, we're paused, Shannon. You know what time it is.
We're not going to be paused for long, Cinderin. It's too late. You had your chance, but you just kept talking.
I get one question. One question.
Okay, go.
What is the name of the passive of Grove Bow?
There is none. It's a trick question.
Incorrect. It's called Magic Amp. It amplifies magic. You know it has a passive.
Wow. That's actually even more boring than I was imagining, and I had low expectations with that question, Cinderin.
Thank you.
Matu in the jungle right now. See, what's next on the list for him? He has the Finnish Satanic that we already saw, has the casual Yasha. Looks like it's going to be BKB. Does he not want Manta or even SNY this game?
I think it could make a case for even finishing a late SNY here to get the status assist, but I think BKB is just more powerful.
Oh, Zai was looking for him.
Didn't get the Horn Toss connection there.
Yeah. RP was still on cooldown for 5 seconds.
Maybe he thought he had it.
Seconds here.
Maybe he was trying to RP, but I think he was trying to Horn Toss.
No.
Anyway, wasn't going to happen. Toronto, Tokyo with the fresh BKB as well. Obviously, will be a much harder target for them to lock down now. And for Secret, you have a couple of options. I think primarily right now you want to protect the Roshan area and see if you can farm up the Terrorblade's BKB. If you line those two things up so you have Aegis and BKB going into the next fight, that would be crazy strong. If you aren't able to have both, I think, you could probably have the BKB in the fight will be centered around Roche, so you might need to contest for the Aegis.
Yeah.
So playing your triangle area right now seems very well advised. Just stay here, make sure you get all the camps on Terrorblade, while you keep pushing out the mid lane as well, and just leave bottom lane empty. It doesn't really matter right now at all. They're going to make their own smoke move, though. They're actually not waiting for either the BKB or the Roche. Just going for it here. 30 seconds respawn left on Roche. Maybe they want to find a pick and then try to get Roche off of that. If they do find Yatoro, he will not have buyback, so he would be a huge find, but just barely stayed outside the observer ward that Secret have down there at the secret shop area that sees a little bit into the lane for a little bit of a glimpse there. He went right around it on spec. Or that could have...
Spirit are kind of aware that Secret's up to something. Obviously completely off the map. And Secret don't have vision themselves, so
Roche
probably
has
assuming the same.
Spawned.
Second Roche available for the taking, so whoever wins this fight
will
get
a shot.
Get it. I mean, depending on how many are alive, it would be pretty difficult to take Roche with either lineup still. Would require Matu at the very least for Secret.
Speaking of shard, keep in mind Rubik bought his. Pretty key item here, I think, to reposition people out of arena. When you get telekinesis, you get height. And if you have height, you can exit the arena, right? So that's why Slark can pounce out of it, for example, or Mirana can leap.
Yeah.
So I believe now any hero on Secret's lineup will be able to exit as long as they are pinned to the wall. Yapzor can toss them out, and that is a huge amount of damage mitigation technically for any hero in his team. So really cool, creative approach to this. We don't usually see him buy shard in this spot. Yapzor will generally buy, bigger items.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how that works. We don't get to see that often at all in pro matches.
Toronto Tokyo offering himself up a little bit here, but will back off. And you can tell the tension here. Secret are just staying grouped up as 5 the whole time. And here comes the key item. Matu will be completing the Black King Bar. It's flying out. He sold his wand for this, obviously doesn't need the slot anymore, and they will use this BKB to try to claim Roche. He is so insanely far ahead of everyone else in this game on that Terrorblade right now.
Yeah.
Paladin Sword will go to the bank.
All right.
Keeps the Titan Sliver. No surprise there for Terrorblade.
Indeed.
And into the Roche we go.
Perfectly crafted for Terrorblade. As, yeah, you're right. He's going to attempt to solo Roche for now.
He effectively has double damage when he's empowered with the Titan Sliver.
Titan Sliver, yeah.
That is pretty crazy.
If only he had Shard, it would be even more disgusting in this melee form. But something tells me... Nisha, does he have... He might be taking the Shard off of Roche. Nisha's Shard is quite good.
Spirit know this is happening, and they're planning their way to attack here. They do have Haunt for the vision, of course.
Not quite in range. Miposha gets off the ice path. Of course, they have some pretty good zoning capabilities here with Miposhka's ult, who's going to get initiated on to start with. Toronto Tokyo jumps in with the BKB. Can't really find anybody, though. Miposha gets up to full HP, collapses a huge arena onto several heroes, but the right clicks from Matu might be enough for Toronto Tokyo to take a tumble. He gets out just barely with any HP. Yatoro, in the meantime, he's going to take the damage from Matu instead. Nice. Zai gets in with that skewer collapse, taking additional damage here. Roche is still only at half HP, so they can't really steal it, as it looks like Yatoro will go down. No haunt available, even if he buys back here. So 2 for nothing as Collapse looks to be the third. Team Secret is doing a really good job of armlet toggling, but not good enough here, Cinder, as Miposhka stuck in harm's way. Zai able to get to safety here for the moment. Dissimulate. Looks like Nisha might go down if they can find a little bit of distance here. Up the Sunder from Matu, keeping his teammate alive. Toronto Tokyo gets dropped now. Double kill for Matu. The Sunder on the teammate. That is absolutely huge, and this is going to be a dieback now for Mira. A full team wipe, and Team Secret lost nobody.
And Spirit actually executed that really well, but Secret with the double buybacks on the supports coming back into the fight immediately really helped seal the deal there. Elder Titan and Rubik having a huge impact both on their second lives. The Yapzor with the stolen ball lightning gets a lot of it. And this opening for Secret actually doesn't work very well, so you commit a lot of spells from Void Spirit. He still gets healed up by Dagger, and here's that amazing arena, but the RP in response from Zai buys enough time that at least Yapzor stays alive for a while. And then he will buy back, of course, and reconnect, and with all the spells down, this is the kind of situation that Terrorblade just cleans house in, right? Like, everyone has used all their resources. He still has full HP and mana. They can't deal with Matu at all.
A very elongated fight, and it did require 2 buybacks from Secret, but still only on the supports here, as they're able to claim full set of racks here, in all likelihood. Team Spirit on the back foot now. 16K net worth lead for Secret. Aegis online. Who got the shard here? Looks like it was Nisha as expected, so the Dissimulate's going to have that extra ring. And it will... it does more damage too, I believe. Oh, all right. Puppey gets picked off. That's technically a dieback. We'll see if Spirit can actually take advantage of this. Toronto Tokyo has to activate his BKB. Oh, Zai faking out again. That RP is Toronto Tokyo is who they really want. But Nisha will find a collateral in Miposhka. Mira, looks like the relocate will take him back to safety as well.
Yep, so we're going to steal the level 1 Spirit. It's probably the single worst spell he can get in this game, so accept all work. Not going to be too happy with that, but yeah, nice pick from Toronto Tokyo. Again, delaying here. They're not going to get pushed without Puppey alive, but still 3.5 minutes left on the Aegis on Matu. You would imagine that Secret just go down mid to top as soon as Puppey is up. Will be the shortest path to attacking these barracks. If you wanted to push in the top lane now, it would take you an extra 10 to 15 seconds, which could make a big difference.
Yep, and Team Spirit have to find a way back in this game. Of course, it is only game 1 of this best of 3, so not a do or die scenario right now. But Matu looks pretty unstoppable. Working on the Silver Edge right now. That will likely... Yep. I mean, it could replace the Boots or the Yasha, depending on if the Aegis is still in tow. As it looks like Secret is going to smoke up now. And Nisha... Oh.
Okay.
Goes for the Resonant Pulse in mid-ball lightning. Doesn't work that way, sadly. For Secret fans, that is. And Puppey getting harassed a bit. Has the Ghost Scepter to try to live through.
Yep. This could be a really big jump from Zai. Any horn toss on a key target could start off this fight, and he'll get it.
There's the horn toss on Collapse. He pops the BKB. RP not going to be expended here. Collapse has to pop his BKB instead. The RP is expended in the end on the single target. Here's Mira getting harassed by Nisha, creating all the space in the world. Collapse is dead, but does have buyback.
He used Arena, though, trying to stay alive, so they know if he buys back, that key ability is not there.
Yeah, but now the smoke up from Team Spirit. Trying to delay. Collapse will almost certainly have to use his buyback here, but like you said, no ult to work with. Maybe even just giving up this second set of barracks here.
It feels nigh impossible for them to kill Matu twice. Their lineup just doesn't have that good single target damage against a Terrorblade right now.
Yeah, meta is almost down though. We'll see if Team Secret want to bide their time here. Still a minute and a half on the Aegis, but that's not really going to align really well for another meta afterwards. And obviously couldn't even go for Megas to begin with because that tier 2 bot still stands. Nisha is actually going for a Dagon. So going for the blow up build. Has the Eon disc, so can survive if he goes. I mean, I've been seeing Nisha do this a lot where everybody goes in with, like Zai jumps in, for example, picks one person off, brings them back into the fray, and then Nisha goes in the front line and just goes for the supports and makes sure that creating all this havoc that they can't even do anything about.
I think that's one of the biggest strengths of this hero in general, is just control, right? Like we talk a lot about Void Spirit's ability to kill single targets with all the damage from Astral Step and the Resonant Pulse and the whole combo, but in a lot of situations, if you're in a game where you don't need to specifically kill heroes all the time, the zone control from this hero is incredible. You create so much chaos, the AoE silence, he has the Yules that he can now start potentially using offensively because he has Disc.
Yeah.
It just makes things so easy for the Magnus and Terrorblade to set up kills in the meantime while he just controls basically the entire enemy team.
So kind of a big deal if there ends up being a fight in the next 3 minutes, but Courier was just killed for Toronto Tokyo, and that had the point booster on it.
Yep.
And he has enough to finish the Ags, but obviously cannot combine it. So, I mean, that is a game-breaking spell to not have, or upgrade, I should say, with the Electric Vortex AoE. And Secret should have some idea that that is the case here, as Matu pretty much ready to go here. Meta's up in 10 seconds. Looks like he's going to be working on, I don't know if they're going to get to this point, but consuming an Ags of his own to get that extra meta time and the Fear addition. But yeah, 2 racks advantage for Secret, and they are looking very, very good in this game number 1.
Yeah. Can choose to stall for the next Rosh. Early respawn is in 2 minutes, but they've scanned out Yatoro. If Nisha finds him here.
Oh, Nisha. Oh, they're in the area. He gets off the Spectral Dagger, though.
They're
going to see him. The Yules into the Aether Remnant to follow. He gets off the haunt, though. Realitying all over the place. Gets silenced for the time being. Silenced the second time. Zai not able to connect on the Skewer. As Collapse even pops a BKB. Matu gets off his meta in the meantime. They're trying to go for the Spectre. The break is there from that Silver Edge. And Nisha not going to be able to connect on a kill here, but they do make Spirit use a lot of resources to try to defend here. There's the Horn Toss. Miposhka is going to get dropped immediately. Toronto Tokyo pops the BKB. Just has no damage to work with now. And this turns into a 5v4 as Matu just hitting the buildings. Going for the Mega.
Still have all their spells except Elder Titan ulti, so the RP is still in play. Zai as well as Nisha's discs are used now, but they're gonna get Megas off this. Spirit just aren't ready to fight.
So Mega defense attempt here from Team Spirit. Oh, the Horn Toss from Zai, and I would assume the RP to follow here pretty shortly. Looks like they'll have enough damage. Yataro gets off the Manta for now. Looks like he's gonna live for a little bit longer. The Yules from Nisha in the meantime, but the Fade Bolt on the other side takes out Yataro. And it looks like this is going to be a Game 1 victory for Secret here, Cinderin, as they are looking extremely warmed up in this game number 1.
Yeah, this game has just not really been close except 1 or 2 fights where Spirit lined up everything perfectly. And YapzOr now finally gets the dream steal of the game. I don't know if this is the first time in the game he's had it. It kind of feels like it, but has that level 4 Ice Path with maxed out Arcane Supremacy, effectively turning this into, what's that, over a 3-second stun. Instant cast.
Tokyo showing off the axe, but the instant telekinesis. Oh, they're doing a lot of damage to Zai. Looks like he's going to be dropped down in the end, but Secret getting the better of this exchange as Matu pops the BKB, just going absolute ham on Collapse. There's the Ice Path again. GG's is called, Cinderin. Secret take Game 1 in convincing fashion.
Yeah, they did, especially what really set up for this huge lead for Secret, just the way the first 5 minutes went, right? Or the first 10 minutes. They're doing great in their lanes. Spirit, when they do get their levels on the heroes that need to make the plays, they just aren't able to. Secret just one step ahead every time. They have the right amount of heroes for the plays. I think especially both Puppey and YapzOr just doing some really, really good hero placements on the map, right?
Yeah.
From our perspective, it might look easy because every time Spirit go for a move, they're ready to counterplay. The challenge in this isn't necessarily the spell casting, it's being there. It's reading the map, knowing that you need to cover these exact angles at these exact times, and just a masterclass from Secret in how to play around your cores, really. So, very nice job.
Team Spirit's Cinderella run is at risk of being stopped here in the next game, Cinderin. But Team Secret take a 1-0 start to this best of 3 lower bracket. Let's see what the panel has to say about this performance from Secret.
Thank you very much, Sunsman and Cinderin. Let's start with the draft for this one, because I think one of the things that often happens when teams are facing Spirit is they go, okay, right, we're going to target Mars. Well, we're going to target Collapse's Mars, not let him have the hero that is really his signature. Or they're going, oh, maybe we should try and target Yatoro. But what we saw with the first round of bans from Team Secret was actually targeting the Miposhka Purge. And they take out his Winter Wyvern and they took out his signature hero, Bane. And it seems to be that that's really where Spirit's troubles began.
It definitely hurt them a bit, and that's kind of a continuation of how other teams have tried to beat Spirit. They said, oh, well, we'll ban all Collapse's best 2 heroes, then he dominates with Meg. And now they finally get to do it against Miposhka. Instead, they put him on Jakiro, and while Jakiro is an effective hero, he's not the laning dominator maybe that some of the other guys are. And also the other crucial thing, he maxed out Ice Path. It makes their mid game really strong. But laning stage, he just doesn't do nearly as much damage with Dual Breath, which makes the game harder too. So it was a cool way to push them on the back foot, and it definitely made their lanes weaker than they should have been.
Do you think that Spirit were probably like, oh, hang on a second, we've got our favourite duo available. We can just get the IO, we can just get the Mars. This is going to be great, guys. This is going to be a shellacking from our side. Effie?
I think you definitely go into every Dota game that you play with a certain idea, right? And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. For me, the biggest thing that stood out was just giving away Magnus. I think after the last couple of days, you just either try to take it for yourselves or you van it out, because it makes the way that you have to navigate fights very different. And it's all very subtle things that we can't really see per se, but you have to always be careful of your positioning, where you're standing. And that game was insane. It was fight after fight. And the spellcasting was ridiculous from both ends, but I don't particularly want to blame the draft alone, but I do think that they could have changed it up a little bit. And while Jakiro is a hero that's capable of fighting a lot, it's just not that good at the moment, I would say. He has his very niche moments, but I don't know. I just want to take it back to something that was said about the first 10 minutes. I think that Nisha's ability to just control the tempo of this entire game is actually what set up Secret.
They really set him up for a really good game. Nisha was having a good time in the mid lane, staying almost a full 1,000 gold ahead of Toronto Tokyo's Storm Spirit, and just playing from behind on the Storm. Yeah, they made him some stacks, but it was not enough. The movements, and to go back to the amplifying your carry, because if you look at you have Io. Io is not a hero that wants to play with Spectre that much compared to Magnus, who provides you that extra damage, provides you cleave when you're in a melee form, and also going for that Solar Crest, which is, kind of a big deal as well. So and you have ET on your own team.
Yeah, and just to add on to that point, like, outside of not having the most synergetic kind of carry for Io to play with, if a Void Spirit has that kind of game, you're in danger all the time as an Io. It is so hard to live through such a big Void Spirit.
Yotaro just seems to be having so much fun with the different carries that he's playing, though. At this stage, he's now played 13 heroes in 13 main event games. So the question is he going to be going for a pick we've seen before for this next game?
Yeah, they might just pick another hero for him if it's available, because for the long duration of time, there has been this meta carry where you try to counter a certain lineup with just picking stuff. How do you counter this? Like, you don't know what he's gonna play. It's very hard to focus on him. It's very hard to go into this matchup and try to prepare anything, because you have no idea what he's gonna play. But there's also a bit of an extra spice coming into this matchup, because you have Toronto Tokyo in one of the pub games. He said to Matumba Man, see you at TI. It's gonna be 2-0 for us in 20 minutes. So far it didn't happen, so I want to see them bounce back.
Can I just shout out to production, you the real MVPs, for trying to get that Spectre to fit somewhere on the graphic. It was also predicted by the draft panel that Secret just had this late game unbeatable damage. Was there a point where just Spirit didn't have the availability to come back, or did you maintain hope, Purge?
The last 20 minutes of fights looked hard, because you want to kill Terrorblade, but they didn't quite have the best disables to do it. Like, if Mars gets on him and they spear combo him and they jump on him, it can kind of work, but the Spectre versus TB matchup isn't very great for Spectre at many stages unless you get really far ahead, and there's always the threat that he's going to sunder somebody. So it's there's just a lot more danger when you're trying to get those really important kills. And the other thing was that they just kept chasing around the Void Spirit consistently. Like, Storm jumps on him, tries to catch him, he casts Dissimulate, then he jumps this way, then he jumps that way. You spend all this time chasing the guy, but it's you also need to kill TB in the meantime, because he's killing somebody else on your team.
So they picked the wrong target.
Yeah, I can see what Team Spirit decided to go for with this kind of a draft, having a global presence with Io, Storm, and Spectre. But the Team Spirit heroes, Team Secret heroes were really good at just standing the ground and taking a fight. You have this, super farm TB who can always use the Sunder, and Spectre, as you mentioned, it's really not a good matchup against the Spectre into TB, into ET as well. Also, one cool play is Puppy. He was holding a Fang Grenade. Usually we see Shaker, who is the one, the primarily one. This might be even a better one. The two supports, they die in one hit plus Fey Grenade.
Effie.
Yeah, no. So I wouldn't say that they picked the wrong target. It's just that there were too many targets, really, because, again, going back to that lead that they got in the first 10 minutes, typically you don't want your games to go that way against lineups like in Snowball. And just to take it back a little bit, we were talking about the Magnus factor. Just the hero's existence and the way to play around him makes it so that the fights are always going to be a little bit awkward for you. Who you're going to go on, where you're going to take it, right? These things that we don't see may look a little bit objectively like, oh, why this guy? But that's just the strength of that hero. It's a very subtle kind of threat on the map all the time.
Well, while Team Spirit may have somewhat limited experience here at the International, their opponents, Team Secret, have been here countless times before. So let's find out some of their favorite memories.
My favorite memory from International that I myself attended, you could always say that it was TI7, the grand finals, but really what I felt like it was the turning point for me in that particular tournament was our series against Virtus Pro in the lower bracket.
GG, well played. VP realized the truth. The truth is Team Liquid will eliminate them from the International and advance forward into the next round of the lower bracket.
After that, it was kind of meant to be to win the whole thing. For me, yeah, they're kind of intertwined, these two moments for me.
One of my favorite memories is obviously that I won the TI that I played in. So the first one, I mean, hands down, obviously, comparison to the losses of the other ones. The feel of TI1 was that it was definitely unique. Some things felt very professional, some things did not. The Chinese, they started a strategy, which was every time you died, they would make loud noises on their desk. They would hit it so hard that you would feel it from in the other booth because the desks were connected. And so they said, don't do that. We also, started kind of jumping around every time they died, or because they would see us. They would literally see us when we would kill them and jump around in our booth. So yeah, they kind of put garbage bags on the windows so you wouldn't be able to see. So no noise, didn't see the enemy, and that's that's how it went down.
Well, Puppy, don't worry. We're into recycling and keeping litter at bay here, so I expect if there's any mess in your booth, it's on you, son. All right then. Secret looked hot to trot in that match against Spirit. Clearly, they've been doing their homework. They've been seeing everything that Spirit have been throwing at their opponents. Is there anything now that Spirit can do on the flip side, maybe to try and exploit some chinks in Secret's armor? Effie?
I mean, well, all I can say about Secret right now is they are on their A game right now, just looking at that game one. And Spirit have to be very, very careful about giving away certain heroes, I would say. And I don't want to make everything about Magnus, but he really has been the hero of the last few days. And I think if they just address what they're going to do with perhaps the Magnus and the Tiny and the Mars, and which one they place more priority to, and to just make sure that they don't get sloppy in the early game, they definitely have a chance to strike back. And losing one game, it may have offset their momentum a little bit, but I do think they're capable. They just kind of need to take a deep breath and regroup here.
Well, the teams are taking to the stage now, casual as you like, for Team Secret, but they have the upper hand in this best-of-3 series, and they know it. They are so confident as they head into their player booth. But Team Spirit, when they came to this tournament, they were expected to maybe make it to, obviously make it to the main stage, but top 3, they surprised us all, and they would be more than delighted to surprise Team Secret today. Now, we didn't get a chance to talk about it much earlier, but Team Spirit and Team Secret boast these incredible, electrifying, flashy carry players. How do you expect this next Matu and Yutoro matchup to go, Lacoste?
I mean, Matu has been looking really stable. I believe he has 4 out of 4 wins on Tiny. One of the also comfort heroes that he played really well is Ursa, even though it's only 50% win rate so far. At the TI, I like the aggression that they make with the hero. Usually when they are playing Radiant, you need to ban it out because of always that Roshan threat that he provides. And Matu, I mean, it's just, Matu kind of a style where he will find the farm, he will play with the team. One of the reasons why he is so farmed is because they enable him. They enable him so much, and also their offlaner Zai doesn't take that much farm on the mat. One of the reasons why Matu gets a bit more, and also Yapsor.
It's an interesting point that you make then about the farm, because that's one of the things that I learned first about Team Secret is they're a team that is much more flexible, it sounds, in their farm priority than other teams, Effie.
Yeah, it feels like sometimes they just kind of create gold out of nowhere when you're watching a Team Secret game. But I think that just goes back down to their strengths of being able to play defensively when they have to and being able to hold their farming areas, right? Team Secret play best in situations where the enemy kind of feel pressured because they're all farming so much and they run into them, so they make a mistake, right? And that just comes from their ability to read the map better than others, maybe due to experience, due to Puppy's leadership, but it just feels like when it comes to map movements, they have that down more than any other team.
And Pej, how would you compare Collapse to Zai? Because Zai has so much experience. He's clearly one of the most intimidatingly clever players I think I've come across so far. And then you have Collapse, who we can see on screen right now. So maybe they'll talk about him on the draft panel.